Sit back, relax and enjoy listening. The calm before the storm didn't last long. Within half an hour, the resort's gates were overwhelmed by a sea of reporters, cameramen, and media crews. Their vehicles blocked the entrance, and their loud chatter filled the air. From behind the resort's thick curtains, Jill and the other band members watched the scene unfold, their hearts sinking as the media frenzy grew. Member 1 stepped back from the window, looking uneasy. Do you guys think RK should go out there and face them? Answer their questions? Member 3 immediately shook his head. No way. He doesn't need to do that. These reporters, they'll twist everything he says and turn it into another headline. They don't care about truth, Member 4 added, his tone bitter. All they care about is their next big story. And they don't care if they destroy someone's life in the process. I just hope, Member 2 started. But his voice faltered before he continued. I just hope they remember that RK has always treated them with respect. Every single interview, every single interaction, he was patient and kind. Jill stood silently, unwilling to let RK face the reporters. But since RK wanted to, he didn't stop him. He said, I understand RK. But RK doesn't understand one thing. He's too innocent. You should never answer people who aren't looking for answers. They're just here to harm you. Outside, the reporters grew restless. The resort's gates opened, and RK stepped out with heavy security guards by his side. The sudden flash of cameras was blinding, but he didn't flinch. He walked forward steadily, his head slightly lowered but his posture firm. Mr. RK, is it true that you've been in a secret relationship? RK, what do you have to say about the allegations of fathering a child? Why haven't you addressed the accusations yet? Silence only makes you look guilty. The questions came rapid fire, one after the other, with no pause for an answer. RK opened his mouth to speak, but another reporter shouted over him. Do you deny that the evidence is against you? He stopped. His hands clenched at his sides and his jaw tightened. The noise was deafening. They weren't asking questions anymore. They were making statements, drawing conclusions, and projecting them onto the world. Inside, the members watched helplessly. Jill, standing closest to the window, saw the tension in RK's posture, the struggle in his expression. I can't watch this anymore, he said through gritted teeth. Member 3 nodded. They're not even letting him speak. It's like a pack of wolves. Back outside, RK finally managed to get a single word out. But before he could say more, a reporter cut him off. Isn't it true that you've been avoiding the press because you have something to hide? Another shouted, why don't you just come clean? The evidence doesn't lie. The tension in the air was suffocating. RK's silence was heavy, and the chaos around him only made it worse. From the hidden room, Jill and the members felt every second of it, their frustration and helplessness mounting. Suddenly, the chaos outside the resort intensified. The crowd of reporters, photographers, and cameramen multiplied, creating a suffocating wave of aggression and noise. RK, standing in the center of it all, was a lone figure guarded by more than 25 to 50 security personnel who tried their best to contain the situation. The questions didn't stop, each one more pointed and accusatory than the last. Why won't you answer us, RK? Are you guilty? Is that why you're silent? Speak up. The world deserves the truth. Flashes of cameras went off in bursts, blinding and relentless, as reporters pushed forward, shouting over one another. RK tried to hold his ground, but the pressure was unbearable. Every attempt he made to answer was drowned out by another question. The air around him felt heavy, thick with tension and judgment. Inside the resort, Jill and the other members watched in horror from behind the curtains. They're getting too close, Member 2 said, his voice trembling. Look at them, Member 4 exclaimed, slamming his hand against the wall. They're acting completely out of control. This isn't an interview, it's chaos. Jill's fists were clenched so tightly his knuckles turned white. This isn't just about questions anymore. They're not here for answers. They're here to tear him apart. Outside, the crowd began to surge forward, emboldened by the rising frenzy. The security guards formed a tight barrier around RK, but it was clear they were struggling to hold the line. The reporters pushed and shoved, some trying to slip past the guards, others screaming questions directly into RK's face. Tell us the truth. Stop hiding behind your silence. Are you a coward, RK? The aggression in their voices grew palpable, and the energy turned dangerous. RK's calm facade was cracking. His breathing became shallow as the crowd grew closer. We don't have a choice, Jill snapped. If we don't act now, this madness will consume him. Without waiting for a response, Jill threw the curtain aside and headed for the door, followed by the other members. Outside, the situation was spiraling out of control. The crowd had broken past the outer line of guards, shoving microphones and cameras dangerously close to RK. The guards tried to push them back, but the sheer number of people was overwhelming. Stay back, one of the guards shouted. You're crossing the line. But the reporters didn't listen. Their aggression only grew, their voices merging into a deafening roar. Some reached out, their hands brushing against RK's shoulders, his arms, trying to pull him into the chaos. RK flinched at the contact, his posture stiff. He didn't know where to look, what to say, or how to escape the overwhelming sea of hostility. His vision blurred as the noise and chaos consumed him. Suddenly, a familiar voice cut through the chaos. That's enough. Jill felt his chest tighten, torn between charging outside to protect RK and the harsh reality that confronting the media might only worsen things. Jill, followed closely by the other members, stormed through the guards, pushing past the crowd with determined fury. Get back! Jill shouted, his voice loud and commanding. You don't get to treat him like this. The crowd hesitated for a split second, surprised by the sudden interruption. But it wasn't enough to stop the surge. The reporters pressed forward again, their aggression undeterred. Get him out of here, Jill yelled. Member 3 and Member 4 moved quickly, flanking RK and shielding him with their bodies. Member 2 and Member 1 stood at his back, creating a human barrier as they guided him through the chaos. The reporters screamed questions, their desperation turning to anger as they realized they were losing their target. Why are you running, RK? Do you have something to hide? Is this how you face the truth? By walking away. He's not running. You don't deserve his answers, Jill snapped, his glare piercing the crowd. The group moved quickly, forcing their way through the throng of reporters. The regrouped guards tightened their circle, shoving the crowd back with renewed force. By the time they reached the resort doors, the crowd was in an uproar, their aggression boiling over. But Jill and the members didn't stop. They ushered RK inside, slamming the doors shut behind them.